The following program contains graphic descriptions of violence and may include disturbing content. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome to Evil Exposed Killers, the show that takes you deep into the minds of the most notorious criminals. I'm Charles, your guide through the shadows of true crime. Tonight, we unravel a case that's as controversial as it is tragic. The story of Darlie Routier. Was she an innocent mother caught in a nightmare, or a murderer with a chilling secret? Stay with us as we explore the details that shocked a nation. And before we dive in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. On a quiet night in Rolette, Texas, in June 1996, a seemingly perfect suburban life was shattered by a brutal crime that would send shockwaves through the nation. Darlie Routier, a mother of three, called 911 in a frantic plea for help, reporting that an intruder had broken into her home and attacked her and her two young sons, Devin and Damon. The details of that night would soon unravel into one of the most controversial and debated murder cases in recent history. Darlie's story was one of horror and desperation. She told the police that she had been sleeping on the downstairs couch with her boys when she awoke to find a man standing over her. She claimed the intruder attacked her, slashing her throat before turning the knife on her sons. In a state of shock, Darlie said she chased the intruder through the kitchen, where he dropped the knife and fled through the garage. When the police arrived, they found a gruesome scene. Devin, aged 6, and Damon, aged 5, had been viciously stabbed. Despite her own injuries, Darlie was on the phone with the 911 operator, pleading for help and insisting that an intruder had been in her home. Damon was still alive when the paramedics arrived, but tragically, he succumbed to his injuries shortly after. Devin had already passed away. The initial sympathy for Darlie quickly turned into suspicion. The police noticed inconsistencies in her story and behavior that night. Despite the violent attack, there was no sign of forced entry into the home, and the knife used in the attack came from the Routier kitchen. Investigators also found it odd that Darlie, who claimed to have fought off an intruder, had only superficial injuries compared to the brutal wounds inflicted on her sons. Further scrutiny revealed what many believed to be a critical piece of evidence: the bloody sock found outside the home. The sock, which appeared to have been placed there after the attack, became a focal point in the investigation. How could an intruder have managed to place the sock so far from the house without being seen? And why would they have taken the time to do so? As the investigation progressed, the police began to focus more intently on Darlie herself. They uncovered what they believed to be damning evidence, including a video of Darlie and her family at a graveside birthday celebration for Devin, just days after the murders. In the video, Darlie is seen spraying silly string on her sons' graves, which prosecutors later argued was a sign of her lack of remorse. Darlie was arrested and charged with the murder of her sons. The trial that followed captivated the nation. The prosecution painted Darlie as a materialistic and narcissistic woman who, overwhelmed by financial stress and the pressures of motherhood, had snapped and murdered her children in a desperate attempt to maintain her lifestyle. They argued that her injuries were self-inflicted and that the crime scene had been staged to look like a home invasion gone wrong. The defense, however, maintained Darlie's innocence, arguing that she was a loving mother who had been wrongly accused. They pointed to the lack of a motive and the implausibility of Darlie inflicting such injuries on herself. They also highlighted the inconsistencies in the investigation, including the failure to properly consider other potential suspects and the mishandling of key evidence. In February 1997, after a contentious trial, Darlie Routier was found guilty of the murder of her son Damon and sentenced to death. The conviction sparked a heated debate, with many questioning whether justice had truly been served. Darlie's supporters argue that she was a victim of a flawed investigation and that new evidence, including advancements in DNA testing, could exonerate her. To this day, Darlie Routier remains on death row, her case a polarizing topic that continues to provoke strong opinions. Some see her as a cold-blooded killer, while others believe she is an innocent woman caught in a tragic miscarriage of justice. The story of Darlie Routier is a haunting reminder of the complexities of the criminal justice system and the thin line between guilt and innocence. It's a case that raises more questions than answers, leaving behind a legacy of uncertainty and heartbreak. Darlie Routier's conviction marked the beginning of a long and arduous battle for her freedom. After the trial, her case attracted a growing number of supporters who believed that she had been wrongfully convicted. This group included not only family members, but also legal professionals, journalists, and true crime enthusiasts who found inconsistencies in the prosecution's case and flaws in the way the investigation was handled. One of the most contentious issues in Darlie's case was the evidence used to convict her. Critics pointed to the so-called silly string video as a key example of how the prosecution manipulated public perception. The video, which showed Darlie celebrating her son Devin's birthday at his grave just days after the murders, was used to portray her as callous and uncaring. However, what the jury didn't see was the context behind the video. Earlier that day, Darlie and her family had held a somber memorial service at the gravesite, mourning the loss of the boys. The silly string celebration, according to Darlie's supporters, was a way for the family to honor Devin's love of fun and to remember him in a positive light, as he would have wanted. Additionally, questions were raised about the handling of forensic evidence. The bloody sock found outside the home, which bore the blood of both Devin and Damon, was never fully explained. How could Darlie have placed the sock outside after committing the murders, while still managing to return to the house and stage the crime scene in such a short amount of time? Some experts argued that this piece of evidence suggested the presence of an unknown intruder, a theory that the prosecution had dismissed. Darlie's defense team has also pointed to advances in DNA testing as a potential avenue for proving her innocence. Over the years, requests have been made to re-examine key pieces of evidence using modern technology, but the results have been mixed. While some tests have returned inconclusive results, others have shown no traces of Darlie's DNA on certain items, raising further doubts about the prosecution's case. Despite these efforts, Darlie's appeals have so far been unsuccessful. Her supporters, however, continue to fight for her release, arguing that she deserves a new trial where all the evidence can be properly examined and presented. The debate over her guilt or innocence remains as fierce as ever, with some believing that Darlie was the victim of a rush to judgment fueled by public outrage and a desire for quick justice. The case has also had a profound impact on Darlie's family. Her husband, Darlie Routier, who was initially a suspect but later cleared, has stood by her side, maintaining her innocence throughout the years. The couple's surviving son, Drake, has grown up under the shadow of the case, grappling with the loss of his brothers and the uncertainty surrounding his mother's fate. As Darlie Routier remains on death row, the case continues to be a subject of intense public interest and debate. Documentaries, books, and articles have explored the many facets of the case, each offering different interpretations of the evidence and the events that unfolded on that tragic night in 1996. The story of Darlie Routier is a haunting reminder of the complexities and imperfections of the criminal justice system. Whether she is truly guilty or an innocent woman condemned, her case serves as a stark example of how public perception, media coverage, and legal strategies can shape the outcome of a trial. For some, Darlie's story is a cautionary tale about the dangers of a flawed investigation. For others, it is a testament to the persistence of justice. As we close the chapter on tonight's chilling tale, the truth remains as murky as ever. The debate continues and the questions linger. If you want more stories that peel back the layers of darkness, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Thank you for watching Evil Exposed Killers. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay curious. Please like and subscribe to Evil Exposed for more riveting stories.